Running systems check. Isolating problem. Problem exists between computer and keyboard.
Always something.
Oh, damn. Yeah.
Rightio then. Well, hello there, chat. I see you've been busy, even in our absence. We are here finally today. We were sitting here like, yep, we're gonna go live now. I can't hit the button. Silence. Okay? Hit the button.
Streaming
Silence.
PC decided to crash. Gotta fix that.
Okay, you ignoring me, you son of a bitch. Like, I was really deep into threatening him too, with all kinds of illegal activity I know about. And then I just hear the clunk of Discord, and I dunk.
I was talking to myself because I was like, all right, Arch, you ready to go live? Arch. Oh my god.
But here we are, at long last, alive, as we are going to have ourselves a nice and self-masturbatory stream today. We're just going to complain about YouTube and doing things on YouTube and the woes of creating anything on this awful platform, and occasionally the good side of it as well. And so we are joined today by Secrios.
Hello. It is I.
As,
I am Secrios.
His own little YouTube channel where he makes silly little animated videos with pictures and noises and things. Much like what I do, honestly.
Yes, exactly. This is the Obsidian Archives, as we are looking at on this screen. It is an independent art project that covers a lot of different subject matters like war, peace, and trade. It's basically a big love letter to a lot of the 4X games I'm very well sure our audience likes to play on the downtime.
Indeed. And you've organized this pretty much by yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, I like to view myself as like the connective tissue that like holds the actual project together. A lot of creative hands have like got together to do like the art and the voice acting and like the storyboarding to like make the whole thing come to life. It took a little bit of trial and error, but I think we've managed to figure out a system that allows the creative juices to flow almost continuously, as it were.
Ah, the juices.
The juices.
God help us for the juices.
Delicious. Very delicious.
Basically, you're a Kyle, but more British sounding.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, like if anyone knows who is from Britbongistan, that would definitely be me. One sec.
Yep.
I don't know if he understood what you said, but yes. There is similarity there. We'll wait till he comes back.
No, I'm here. I'm
Very
here.
similar to that.
Sorry, it's the air conditioner. It was just too loud for me.
Understandable.
My YouTube chat is breaking, as per usual. Right, so I see
Goddamn.
Lord of the Opossums has already commented vociferously. So we'll get through the super chats that came in before we even started up here first and foremost, as I'm kind of piling up already. Lord of the Opossum says EFAP is copying you by talking about Halo. EFAP has always been copying me, frankly. It's just a thing that happens.
So true.
True. He also says, hi Arch, I was wondering if you could one day make a video about the realms of Chaos Gods and what a demon war would look like. Add it to the list, I guess. In fact, hold on. Where's my thing? There's my thing. Damn War. There you go. It is added to the list at the bottom of other ideas that I've held on to for like 6 years now.
Yeah.
But it's there now. He also says, a lot of the Boston that is, I was also wondering, when will the God Emperor be ready to fight the Chaos Gods in open combat? Example, 50k, 60k, etc. Standing in the garage while it thunderstorms is very relaxing. Hearing the thunder and seeing the light reminds me of my childhood, sitting on the porch while it storms on my grandparents' house. Slightly disconnected questions. But God only knows. Literally, God only knows. Seeing as the Emperor is a deity, in part, because that's how the warp works in 40k, but whether or not he's ever be able to actually fight them in their demon wars, well, that's a different question, because the gods do fight each other quite aggressively at times. Going for gold 85. All right, Gibbs, you're over 5 minutes late. You know the rules. Put on the maid outfit and accept your punishment quickly so we can get onto the stream.
Is that possums? Possums, wasn't it?
No, going for gold. That's another person.
Interesting.
More people have started to realize your femininity, Kyle. You cannot escape now.
There.
It's got ya.
Misguided, lost souls that cannot be saved.
Lord of the Apostle asks when we will have cigar and whiskey stream. Never, because both of those are awful.
Yeah, I don't drink or smoke either.
That's one shot.
That's
And
true.
the young Hyuk adds when we will have crack and heroin. Actually, I saw a video being posted by Dev, of course, because it's Dev. He's the only one who posts this kind of shit. In the super secret conspiracy chat, where there was a dude who was shooting up heroin for a video, and was like, "I try heroin for the first time." It's like that's one way to
Okay.
to go viral. Definitely.
Hot damn.
Oh, I saw that on Twitter. That was interesting.
Anything for those clicks, am I right?
Got to get them
Feels
clickies.
perhaps a pinch excessive, but
And that's
well.
gonna segue into today's subject, though. Desperation on content creators. That
Oh man.
desperation.
true.
Very true.
Fear,
Well,
hatred,
I suppose desperation
loathing.
is a thing.
egos, overinflated egos colliding with one another,
All this leads to the dark side.
or just YouTube. But whatever.
Oh yeah. Oh, YouTube's much worse.
That's true.
Lord of the Apostle also has a personal request to Fuzzy to please stop DMing him weird questions, as he's getting scared now.
Oh my
That's true.
god, Fuzzy.
Fuzzy should stop that.
In yesterday's Eco stream, Fuzzy was very upset about the fact that people were DMing on his behalf, or super chatting on his behalf, to ask weird sexual questions to Arch. And we kept saying,
No.
Fuzzy, you can't say that. No,
Fuzzy
that
was
happened.
asking what kind of a toothpaste I was using. That's like just no, Fuzzy, down.
It started
down,
with
Fuzzy.
toothpaste, and then it started with feet. And it got progressively weird from there on out.
The sad realities of the internet.
We can't trust our friends. They're all degenerates.
It's true.
I think like in every like millennial brain, if you was to like give them an MRI scan, you would notice like one really, really like large nerve ending, which is their horny gland. It's just they've been using it too much that it's become like roided up.
Oh,
That
roided
sounds like
out.
Fuzzy.
Yeah.
Fuzzy's
Roided
roided.
out.
Oh god.
In his brain.
roided out horny
like,
man.
See, I always picture him as like the weak one of our friend group. Like he's easy to pick on. Like everybody makes fun of him. He's the runt of the group. We all make fun of him, and he's like, he gets yappy with it. Yeah, exactly. Everyone's got that yappy friend, That's the weak one, and we take turns beating him up. That's Fuzzy.
God damn. Poor Fuzzy.
He deserves it.
Oh, okay.
He's earned it.
What, did he like piss in the punch bowl or something?
He's weak,
Oh,
and
okay.
that's why he gets it.
The wheat from the shaft.
I'm just waiting for angry DMs from him when he reads this or finally hears this. He's like, "You son of a bitch."
Now, for today's topics again, so because we've touched upon this previously. I even did a video talking about should you make your own? Should you try and like switch on over to a different setting? Because there's a lot of franchises that are being ruined currently. Halo is the latest victim, where Pablo Schreiber has decided to wear the Master Chief armor on set occasionally. He doesn't wear it too often. He's mostly in his skivvies, but he tries. And a lot of people have been asking the question now for a very long time: should I try to save Star Wars? Should I try to save Halo? Should I try to save Lord of the Rings by, well, being active within the community, pushing back against certain insidious groupings and so on? Or is it better to just cut your losses and move on to something else that might actually deserve your money? Well, the problem there is, how many things are there out there that we know of that have either not gone crazy or have the potential to go anywhere? And a lot of people also are like, okay, well, but I could totally do this thing. I can make Star Wars, but not shit. I can make Star Wars without Rey, basically. And that's been a whole debate. And a lot of people have been asking the question, like, if I try to make my own thing, where do I even start? Well, what do I go about it? Like, what would I have to think about, etc., etc., etc.? And most of the time, we've simply answered, you've just got to get started, because nothing will ever happen if you don't. And it's very easy to get buried in concerns that might occur 15 years into the future as well. But today we are going to talk a little bit about the minutia of all of this, because we've got one creator here, that's me, and then we've got Kyle, who's a sidekick, who might be making a video game, and we have one person who makes flashing pictures. I'm, of course, the best of the bunch, but I'm a kind and generous soul.
I don't know why, but I had that Batman thing going on. It's like, oh no, it's like Barch and Tights. No.
That's true. I am Batman, you are Robin, and Secrios can be Batgirl.
I was thinking, oh, could I be like Riddler or like Joker and do a society reference?
No, Batgirl it is.
Denied.
Okay.
Get to be the other sidekick. That's even less valuable.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait for my long athletic career. Opens the door, gets shot in the spine.
Fine, don't worry about it. Back to the wheelchair with you.
Batman has gone through quite a lot of sidekicks, hasn't he? See, the problem is you can't kill Batman because, you know, he's Batman. He's kind of the center of everything. But his side characters, free game.
True.
Yeah. I think like Warner Brothers probably like writ a hidden rule going, oh yeah, you simply just cannot kill Batman. That's like that's like the law. Even if it's like narratively perfect on a particular story they write, they're like, no, they leave a clue that he's probably still alive or some shit.
Yes. And therein is also one of the problems why a lot of people are thinking, there's been a lot of people who have had remarkable success making their own comics. For example, our buddy Raging Golden Eagle is one of these people who's made his own comic and has done very well doing it. There's that ridiculously popular Common America thing, which has enormous Kickstarters all the time. Because, well, a lot of the comics are just stupid. Because, well, they're old. I remember looking this up. I think Batman is 85 years old at this point. Let me check that.
Yeah, but I will say it's not. I think it has less to do with their age and more to do with the fact that the content they push now is politicized to high hell. Because people before that were gobbling it up left and right still to this date.
That is true, but there are limitations. Okay, so Batman first appeared in 1939. So, yeah, he's about 80 odd years old at this point. And in my opinion, there's only so many ways you can write a character before it gets awfully stale. And the DC characters and the Marvel characters have been written every which way. Like, Batman has been a woman. Batman has been a teenage boy. Batman has had a robot suit. Batman has been a Stone Age barbarian. Batman has been steampunk. Batman has fought aliens. Batman has fought predators. Batman has fought Judge Dredd, etc., etc., etc.
Has he fought crippling depression yet?
Several
I think
times.
so, actually. Yeah, I think that's a reoccurring theme, actually.
Exactly.
I believe the meme is "My parents are dead."
Mm-hmm. It's a classic.
And this is why there is a lot of people that want to try and get into the creative space, even though, again, that's the thing. Even if you think you have a really, really good idea, and maybe you do, getting that idea out there and be seen by people is very, very hard. In some ways, it's easier today than ever before, and in other ways, it's harder than ever before, too. So let's start with the medium that we've all kind of familiar with, which is YouTube. Because on the one hand, YouTube allows you to potentially reach an audience of hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people with just one video. I mean, I think it was 2 billion people who use YouTube on like a monthly or weekly basis, like unique users. A third of the globe is on this god awful platform. So you'd think, like, well, obviously, that's a tremendous market. The problem is also, though, that there's another 5 million people all uploading pictures of their cats onto YouTube.
Yep, oversaturation.
Absolutely. I have a few takes in regards to the YouTube situation. I hear a lot when like people would argue about nostalgia and the phrase "the good old days," and like you would get a contingent of people and they would come in going, "Oh, what are you talking about? The good old days was never that great." But like, the irony is, if we're talking strictly on YouTube, I think I can make a rock solid argument that old school YouTube, as small as it was to some degree objectively better than the current YouTube we have now. Back on YouTube, what it used to be was you would have regular people like me or you. We would pick up a video camera. We would not know the file formats, the resolutions, or the frame rates. We would just record whatever was in our home, all right? And we would make videos about it. And some of them would either be very boring or very deranged and cringy. But in spite of this, some of these would like grow up to have millions of views just out of longevity alone. There used to be a genre where like people of like, you know, very different ages would unironically pick up plushies and like try and make a puppet show out of it, and it would make bajillions of views back in the day. Nowadays, that entire gold rush is completely gone. It's become a lot more corporate and mainstream. If you're brand new to YouTube with no prior history, the go-to method for recommendations is nighttime talk show hosts.
Yes, YouTube has become quite corporatized in many ways. Like, YouTube was that was the pitch of it. It's random people doing random stupid things. And I'm from back in the day of like machinima, where there would always be watermarks down in the little corner because people were recording in fraps or whatever, like idiotic programs that barely functioned and recorded in like 480p resolution if you were lucky.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention all those like copyrighted like music that like not all of it was scanned, so you could technically get away with it for like 1 or 2 years until the record label realized that they're being boned over by like some 10-year-old in his basement or something.
There was no copyright back then. Like, one of the things I used to watch when I was but a tiny little teenage child, when I was playing World of Warcraft, I didn't know any better, was stuff like PvP compilation videos. And they had just straight up entire music tracks in the background playing constantly, and it was just fine because there was no copyright system. It didn't really exist at all. When it first did come into being, though, it was also goddamn slaughtering field for people on YouTube, because suddenly the record labels realized, oh Jesus, okay, we've got to copyright strike everyone here.
Well, that is also before YouTube was monetized, and even so, now that it is monetized, you can still play certain music, unless it's just like, say, Sabaton. Sabaton will block your stuff worldwide if you play even an iota of it, but there's a lot of actually artists where if you play their music, they either A, don't do anything, B, they do a copyright claim, which is the worst possible thing that I've ever seen, which is just they take the ad revenue. But then again, ad revenue in the modern era isn't really worthwhile.
Look on the bright side, though. At least when they do block you, it's not actually worldwide, because 9 times out of 10, when you do get copyright blocked by one of these companies, your videos are still available in North Korea.
This joke
There's a
is
benefit.
flat. I feel like you need to be beaten for that.
But the interesting thing is, though, because, right, fair enough. Back in the day, it was the wild, wild west, and copyright was absolutely being ignored. Yet now we've hit the opposite extreme, where copyright abuse is the norm. It is literally just the thing that happens. For example, like you say with Sabaton. Sabaton claiming a video of a Paradox game, as they sold their music to Hearts of Iron, for example, have diddly dickle claim according to traditional US copyright law. Like, it's very transformative. It cannot be taken as a replacement of the original thing, because there's an idiot waffling over it, talking about how he's invading China and so on.
And not to mention other background noise sound effects. So it's clearly distorted, altered to an absurd level.
And in no way is Harry Potter's Let's Play of Hearts of Iron, Let's Invade China, episode 37, in direct competition with Sabaton.
If anything, it would be basically advertising, because people are like, what is that sound? You know, the background, that sounds neat. Like, I want to go check that out.
Yep.
Exactly. It's free advertisement.
But these corporations, some of these individuals in power, do not view it that way. And that boils down to a simple fact that in the copyright world and in the corporate world, from my experiences, most of the doctrine, even for the new generations that are coming into power in these corporations, they don't understand the digital age. Like, wrapping their head around it is something that is difficult for them. A lot of them think they can monetize their piracy problems. A lot of them think they can do this, X, Y, or Z. And they have laughable ideas at best. And this comes from a simple fact that they don't really taught anything about the digital medium. So it's a problem that you're going to see probably for the foreseeable future, until there's a huge doctrinal change in the education of these CEOs and other presidents that are taking power in these new corporations.
Which is unlikely, because the thing is also, this is to their benefits. Being able to take your ad revenue for 5 seconds of sound, that's just a good thing for them. Like, it's not a detriment in any way, shape, or form. Like, it's just it's a tiny bit of money, sure, but it's free money.
Well, it
sounds like theft. It sounds like theft almost.
It is also additive, though, because they get everyone's. It's not just yours. It's anyone who ever did it, and those $2 to $3 adds up into $400 to $10,000 to $30,000. It builds up.
Back in the day, there actually used to be an industry.
There is still an industry. That was what I was about to mention. There are still companies that claim copyright for things they don't own, because they simply assume you're not going to challenge it. And if you do, so the hell what? They wait the 30 days, they cause you the maximum amount of inconvenience they can, and then they move on with no consequences. And if they do this to hundreds of thousands of videos, if only 1,000 of them don't bother even contesting it, well, money in the bank.
I actually have a true story about this. I had a really big disaster, and I like to believe it probably, like, straight up, like, killed my old channel. I was working on a pilot for a 3D animated series called Black Dust, and it started off as a kind of like an AMV kind of music video, but with like original animations and stuff. But because of the song that was used, Sony didn't just like put like a small like marker on the thing. They kind of went full nuclear on the video, and it became unavailable for like a whole 30 days immediately after the release. And it was completely like squashed after it eventually like won the case against them.
Yep.
That's the other thing too. Just one more point, Kat. Didn't you get to speak, person slave thing?
I mean, we might be saying the same thing, so go ahead.
Yeah, the thing is, for a YouTube video, fuck the first 30 days. The first 24 hours are your life bread. Taking a video for 30 days, even for 30 hours, kills it.
Yep,
exactly.
It's buried. Even this is something, if you ever notice, if anyone here has a channel and has messed around with unlisted and publishing, if you public a video, it publishes it on your channel. If it's not been unlisted before, once that video is published, if it still behaves this way, because I only do streams now, what would happen is that video would then be considered published. Meaning, if you unlisted it again and then republish it on a later date, it would be at the back of the log. It wouldn't be predominantly at the front. It would show up publicly on people's subscription lists on that day when it was published the first time. So it's all the way back. Now, I get that that's to prevent people from just unlisting and then publishing, unlisting and then publishing, to get things back at the center. But because of how it works with Secrios' video, it published the first time, and then after those 30 days, it didn't matter if he unlisted it and republished it. It's 30 days ago old content. Anybody who was subscribed to that channel would have to scroll back 30 days worth of content in their subscription feed, which who's going to do that?
Exactly. YouTube is very distant to some of its dedicated core user base, the ones who don't have $5 million studio lots or whatever.
Well, there's one of the things as well, because again, because in many ways, YouTube is easier than ever and harder than ever. On the one hand, it is much easier to earn money today on YouTube than it was previously, in large parts due to increased ad revenue, increased spending, that everyone uses Google's ad services, and YouTube Red, or YouTube Premium, as I think it's called now, which is an enormous game changer.
One thing to quickly interject there. YouTube did instigate a system since you and I ascended to godhood, where if you don't have a X amount of subscribers, I think it's 1,000, an X amount of views, an X amount of minutes watched per day, you are not allowed to monetize.
Yes. And there's another big thing there.
Oh, go ahead.
I do understand why they did it, because of bureaucracy and stuff, but here's the other thing too. If you are not monetized, the algorithm does not give a F about you. Making it sounds like nothing, like 1,000 view hours, something like that. That's easy enough. I mean, hell, that's what I get for like any video many times over. But for somebody starting out, that is an enormous hill to climb.
Yep. And it's not something they can do easily. For instance, let me give you an excellent example of getting back into YouTube after leaving it under the new era. I was fortunate because when I quit YouTube the first time, I had a friend named Arch inside the YouTube community. He was like, get back into YouTube, faggot. And like, he just kept nagging me. So eventually I did. And because I had a friend on the inside, he could, give me a shout out. He could help push my channel here and there. And I was able to break back into the rhythm really quickly. People were able to refine my stuff, refigure out who I was, etc., etc. Now, if you're kind of in the situation where our friend here, Secrios, is, where you don't have a lot of big friends on the inside, or you're starting out brand new, you don't really have a way to get in. Because it is very much a nepotism. You need connections, you need friends, you need to do collaborations, you need shoutouts, you need all those things to even get traction.
Absolutely. I had to do a lot of like reaching out and stuff, and it's like fishing with a million rods in the middle of a nuclear waste dump. It's like most of the fish have died, but some of the fish are still there looking for food with 3 eyes, maybe.
And this leads to the corporatization of YouTube again on the next plane. Because as you say, like late night TV show hosts, that's one thing. But it's also that the established people on YouTube have no incentive or reason to talk about or bring on anyone else. Like Markiplier, there's no point in Markiplier trying to bring up someone. Like, he doesn't gain anything from that. In fact, he only gets competition. Which is one of the interesting things that PewDiePie did ages ago, where he had that competition, which eventually selected Jacksepticeye, I think it was, to basically be like his protege and stuff, which was enormous thing, which literally made his career overnight. Nobody does that anymore. Like, I remember back in the day where, like, the days of Total Biscuit, etc., where they would constantly have friends on, they constantly have crossovers and collaborations, and it was just a bunch of people having fun on the internet. Now it is far more along the lines of companies. Like, PewDiePie, for better or worse, is a company now. Markiplier is a company now. Mr. Beast is a company now, etc.
I mean, we were companies once we signed up on YouTube, though. Even back in the day, because of how the monetization agreement works. Like, your channel branding has to be in order to monetize.
Yeah, I'm talking more about the approach here.
You mean more so the methodology of the individual. Behaving more like a corporation.
Sometimes in like YouTube they have like these special like host like partner channel network systems where like they literally turn you into a content sack, and they like kind of just bleed you once in a while, like, oh yeah, you're paying us for a percentage of your pay for these services, and like these services are things that you could easily do yourself with a little bit of like leg room.
and it was literally just like a money grabbing scheme.
Well,
Like I've
that does
go on.
depend. That does depend on the agreement. Yes, you're right. Some of those organizations were, but I had friends who were in those organizations or those, what do you call them, those groups, and they actually get huge benefits. It really depends on, your influence. It depends on how you're doing it. It's kind of like with the VTubers as well. When they're in those corporations, there are benefits for being a part of them. There are also negatives. It's like a publisher deal, basically. So you gotta make sure you sign the right deal. So if somebody signs up for a bad deal or gets shafted, that happens, but it's not a flat negative, I would say.
I'm mostly thinking about Machinima and Maker Studio. I used to be actually like part of Maker Studio, but like with the changing trends, it's like they kind of like showed their hand a little, that they were a lot more interested in like downsizing and like aren't they like owned by Disney, by the way?
Oh, cool.
I believe so.
Yeah, they if I remember correctly, they cut off PewDiePie as well, which was really unfortunate.
There was a big whole thing. I remember because I used to watch TV a lot back then, where he was talking about how Maker was being picked up by Disney, and they were joking about how everything was going to change. Like, everything's going to be okay. Nah, everything did, of course, change quite quickly once that happened. But basically the point that we're dancing around here is that, on the one hand, things are much easier. Like, you can earn money easier. Even someone the size of Total Biscuit back then was actually not doing particularly well for money. Like, and he was big. He was a absolute phenomenon at the time. So you can do more. Now, if you've got 100,000 subs, maybe, you can probably make a living off that. In fact, depending upon the popularity or rate of growth, click-through, content type, etc., you might even be able to do it at 50-odd thousand, 30-odd thousand, for example. It depends a lot, which you couldn't do previously at all. But at the same time, it is very, very hard to get to that point. And whether or not that is easier or harder is very difficult to say. Because on the one hand, there's a lot more people on YouTube now. I mean, the biggest YouTube channel in the world back in the day was an old man just talking about random shit in his life and growing old, and I think it was Britain. That was the biggest YouTuber for a while there.
Oh, damn.
That was ancient, though. Ancient lore.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's basically
Like,
the Babylonian
we're talking,
era.
we're here in front of the elephants level ancient.
My good. There's a dinosaur.
But if used correctly, it can absolutely give you that enormous advantage. Because as much as we're talking about how it's not easy today, it certainly wasn't easier necessarily back in the day either.
Oh, it wasn't. You're right about that.
Releasing a comic like 20 years ago, you didn't really have much of an option but to go to the publishers and beg for contracts. Because releasing something by yourself, okay, first and foremost, do you even know how? You don't have the internet to tell you how to do this, or any guides or tutorials. You're going to have to, write the script, get in contact with the publisher houses. You're going to have it be printed. You're going to have to distribute it. You're going to have to convince chains of bookshops to sell it, etc., etc., etc. Now, theoretically, all you need to do to become a published author is create an Amazon account and upload your goddamn script there, and voila, you've got an Amazon book.
It's truly amazing stuff, though sometimes it gets like really wild to the point that it's borderline absurd. Like, do you know how many pro soccer mum romance novel books, but like the concepts of the actual books themselves are like the scribblings of a deranged madman?
No.
Oh no, like literally, they go, this person reincarnated as a chair and some woman sits on them. I'm like, what? No, really, they write some really silly ass plots, and I don't know why they're doing it. And it's like, who the fuck's gonna buy this? You know what I mean?
Well, see, that's one of the downsides of having everyone have access to everything. Sometimes some very weird shit will be made.
I mean, look at the indie market. There are more video games produced now than ever before historically, and every year there are more
Yes.
indie games and more indie games on the market. And due to sheer ratio, there are better and better games every time. However, there is so much shovelware and asset flips and other things that are just shoveled onto platforms that it's insane. Like it's there's positive side and there's always a negative side to progress generally, and fortunately in that field that has been more positive than negative in the long run.
Absolutely. I think I've been one of the first like adopters of the idea that like the indie market is like universally, well, not universally, but definitely like a big step in the right direction for like the industry. But this was like pre like 2014, and like later on I looked back and I'm like, oh god, there was a lot of like industry, and when I say gatekeeping, I'm not talking about our kind of gatekeeping, but like there was a lot of like toxic nepotism going on behind the scenes in regards to the indie scene.
I mean, that's gonna probably proliferate forever. It's been a rudimentary problem in the industry since day one. But in that regard, you know, that's not just an indie isolated issue. That is just human nature. Nepotism is a innately human thing. You aren't gonna give somebody a chance, like some random, versus over your friend, will you? Like I wouldn't. Because why would you throw your friend under the bus over some rando you barely know, you know? So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like it's not like logically inhuman, like it's not gonna happen. Like nepotism is a human thing that we just have to live with.
Yes. It's a natural system. And the thing is, too, it's not people's job to try and help other people necessarily. Like in an ideal world, YouTube would have a continuous like spotlight sections going like, oh, new creators, new creators, new creators. Because YouTube wants to have as many people click on as many people's videos as possible. To that end, they want to create more stuff. But it's not what happens because, well, it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort to try and bring up somebody new. Whereas instead, you could just funnel more views to the videos you already know are doing well. Like, from a business perspective, it makes a lot of sense short term. Like that PewDiePie video is going to get a lot more clicks than 1,000 smaller creators, even if those 1,000 smaller creators might get a lot more clicks in like the total in 5 years from then on, and so on. It's not a simple thing, but at the same time, as much as we can complain about these systems, it still remains the fact that you can gain access to it. You can become an internet phenomenon. You can get lots and lots of views. And you also need to, we need to kind of reset our expectations a little bit here. Because a lot of people I've talked to about this seem to think that they'll make a thing and it'll be absurdly popular, and everyone will love it, and they'll be enormous in a week. And it's like, nah, probably not going to happen. Because that's people's view of success. Success to most people is overwhelming, ridiculous success. No, success is being able to feed yourself.
Yep.
Simple as.
It's not an
Yeah.
overnight thing. I mean, that's something that Secrios, I assume you've learned as well as I have, where with your indie journey, like mine didn't start
yeah.
generating revenue until like a year, 2 years ago, to the point where the revenue I generate now, just from talking about it, makes up 50% of the studio's budget. Like, it didn't happen overnight. It took years to do it, and it took more sweat, blood, and tears than anything I've ever done in my life. In the same vein that I'm very sure that you're going to experience as well. Like, that's just the natural order of things.
Yeah, I tell you, like, there's been a lot of spinning discs involved in this endeavor. Like, here's the thing: most of the work I have to do in my line of work is script writing, world building. Like, sometimes I even have to get into like map generators. I have to color in slides. I do like 100% of the actual like video editing. It's like I think I've been the most active than I've been in like the past like 5 years or whatever. Like I've really like got the ball spinning.
Yep, and that's always hard. Getting the ball just spinning is only just but the first step on that journey. And not, that's the, oh god. We could talk about Fallout, but I don't want to demoralize you, because that'd be just terrible. There's
Oh,
just
yeah,
carry on.
Didn't like speaking of Obsidian Archives, didn't Obsidian Studios like have like didn't they get like shafted by Bethesda or something, if I remember correctly?
I haven't been following Obsidian in a long time. Last time Obsidian made something I gave a damn about was New Vegas.
Yeah, New Vegas was really good. Like I can never find myself completing all of it because of just how big it is.
It's got a plethora of content and good story and characters, which is nice. Underlined by horrible gameplay, but details. Can't all be winners.
Yeah, I mean the fact that they like lower down the stakes to like a single area, and they go, oh yeah, you're the wanderer, you're the courier, you got you got the platinum chip, you need to that adventure. It's very delightful. It's almost mythological as a video game story almost.
It has definitely worked its way into the ethos of RPGs as a very good RPG, which is good.
I even did a nod to it on like an old D&D campaign I used to do. There was this whole I won't bog you down in all the details, or we'll be here all day.
That's okay.
But effectively, it was imagine a casino that is actually a prison for elder gods. And the guy running the casino is basically brainwashing the elder gods to astral project an entire casino. So he could con loads of people out of money, basically. And the only guy that knows about this conspiracy gets shot out of a balcony, and he's on a quest to defeat him and stuff. And it's almost like a Bond heist movie. But literally, word for word, I just recreated the starting from New Vegas just for shits and giggles, going, "Oh, it's rigged from the start," and that was it.
Sometimes the best stories start with people being heavily inspired. George Lucas loved loved old Japanese samurai movies, so much so that the Star Wars formula ended up mirroring that almost identically. And look at how well that did when it was brought to the West.
Oh, absolutely. It basically revolutionized the way people were writing up these movies, maybe to a fault even. There was a chart that someone did once, and if you put it up next to a lot of of the generic big popcorn flick movies, they almost follow a similar flow pattern. Hey, do you think it might be up on Google maybe? Star Wars. Because they taught me this in film school.
Oh no, you went to film school.
Yeah, I have a degree in digital film production.
Well, gonna have to unsubscribe. No kidding.
What? He wasted money on a student degree? Oh my god.
How dare you get an education? You should know,
Yeah.
and I hope more people realize that you don't need to do that. Sometimes if you just start doing it, if you have the resources and the willpower, you can do it. But you need to be ready to sacrifice.
Too. I studied game designs for a couple of years because I was like, games, I want to work with video games. Complete and utter waste of time. They taught me nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I agree full-heartedly. I
I'm
felt
so
the same
sorry
way.
to hear that, man.
Because in our game design class, what they taught me, I just looked at the teacher and I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm going to do whatever I want. But, you don't know what you're talking about. Because I know what I'm doing, and you don't. It's bad. Now, it is not to say every class is like that, but we had a really bad teacher who was like, I just want to teach math, but I'm going to teach game design. It's that is a terrible combination. Because you have somebody who doesn't know what a game is trying to be so math and game, I guess, in the background. It's oh no.
I'm sure there are some inspired teachers out there somewhere.
They're a minority.
I just haven't run into any of them. I don't have heard about any of them.
They're a minority.
I bet some people probably learn more math from actual League of Legends than they do actual math. If you really think about the stats and all that shit.
But a quick tip, if you want to get into game development, the best thing I've learned from other indies is just start making it. Just start monkeying around right now. That's the best way you can get into game development.
I learned a little bit of code while working with the Source engine. I was there with Source Filmmaker since it actually like came out to the public, and I tell you, I can fully understand people going batshit bonkers or insane when like doing code. All right, that stuff will mess you up mentally.
Oh yeah, definitely. I know our code monkeys get stressed out too. That shit can be quite heavy.
I don't blame them when they get addicted to Adderall. I understand. I understand why they take it.
Programming can be stressful. Very.
Don't
stressful.
become a programmer. That's the only thing. Like anything else you can do, just don't.
That's
that.
not true. Programmers are
Yes.
useful. They're useful for visionaries like
as
me
slaves,
to order around.
as a lower class of people to be bossed around and abused, sure, but I
Exactly.
love my audience. Like that's why. No, don't. Like you'll.
No. Serve
No.
me. Do
Don't.
it.
It's just
Obey.
you're not worth that little.
Listen, some little person has to put together the code, because you can come up with the greatest ideas ever and write them down on paper. That's what I did. I'm like, look at how awesome these ideas are, and I showed them people like, wow, those sounds cool. I'm like, yeah, it does sound cool. And I just frown, because there's nothing I can do about it. It's like I can just write down design docs. And then I found Code Monkeys, and Code Monkeys, they make your dreams, they make your vision come true, and it's magic.
Yes.
Now, granted, their hair's
They'll be
going
sad
gray.
while it's doing it.
They will be, especially the more complicated the systems and mechanics. You watch as their little faces turn from little smiley faces to frowns of depression. Kind of great.
This really reminds me of the Million Monkeys with typewriters.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, it's I think it was an old allegory. I think it might have been something to do with evolution, but basically, if you get enough monkeys to type on a typewriter, you will eventually get a masterpiece.
It's the law of casualty.
And
yes. The precise quotation is: if you have 1 million monkeys at the typewriter, they will eventually produce Shakespeare's complete works.
Would it be embarrassing that I only know about that Million Monkey things because I saw a Simpsons episode once?
Yes. It should be. I think should go home and rethink your life.
I should go home and rethink my life.
Got the reference good.
Yeah, I've seen all the Star Wars. I'm an actual fan. I know the references.
Good. There's not many of us left. They're all gay now.
I know.
Soy drinkers.
Must consume and look forward to consume next product.
Pretty much.
Speaking of consuming product, are any of you down to discuss about the Obsidian Archives?
What, we're gonna do that today?
I
mean, God, why did you invite me?
No, I'm looking at the title. I'm just thinking, oh yeah, there's a thing over here. Did we read the script, guys?
Listen, we waffle and we go on tangents. It's part of the gig. Now, the Obsidian Archives. Tell us a little bit about your channel. But first, let's start with the origins. What made you decide to do it?
Okay. So, what inspired me to do it? It's a long story, but I'll put the footnotes version. Like Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged or whatever. There's a footnotes version somewhere, I imagine. Basically, I used to run a D&D campaign called the Runic Knights of Runeguard. My harebrained scheme was, hey, I'll do some sort of D&D related like Twitch stream every week, and oh yeah, it'll eventually be like it'll be like Real Girl, guys, like kind of silly. Don't get me wrong, it definitely had a fan base. There was actually one guy who was borderline obsessed with the series and kept like pumping in donations. It basically kept us going for a very, very long time. I think the actual project borderline alienated me from some of the cast afterwards just due to how batshit bonkers it was. Because it went in a lot of different places very quickly. With that said, however, one of the redeeming features of the story was an interesting piece of world building that eventually spawned off into its own spin-off. Halfway through the campaign, the Runic Knights, who are essentially Tudor time Vikings, get caught up in a conflict against a third party that is trying to harvest their minerals, known as the Obsidian Empire, which, unlike the people in Runeguard, are around the time basically in the steampunk era. And because of such, they have giant drills, muskets, guns. Like, it's pretty terrifying. It would freak the hell out of you if you're like some medieval guy and all of a sudden the guy's like mowing down your knights with a Gatling gun. So, like, long story short, as the campaign developed, I think I spent a lot more time writing up the villains than I did the actual characters. And it became a fully fledged society. And I was like, by the end of it, when everything, dried up, I was like, to hell with it. I'll just tell my own story with blackjack and hookers. And so...
You did what V never did.
Money's
That
in the soul.
was a good jab. So, is it similar to your case? You liked your story so much and you liked your characters that you wanted to write a book about it. V is kind of similar to you in that regard, because he runs a campaign where he's very much invested in the story. So much so that he's more invested in the story of what he's writing than what the players are doing. And so what he should be doing is writing his own book instead of running that campaign. But tangents aside, continue.
Actually, ironically, one of the members straight up said that to me, like unironically.
Wow, you're like V? Damn.
Yeah, but here's the thing, all right? Like, he goes in and says, "Oh, you should, like, no, this should be a book. You shouldn't like boss around with it. Be careful what you wish for."
Careful what you wish for. You'll end up in a ditch, poor and homeless. Be careful, Secrios. I almost called you your nickname that we have on our server. We do community events, chat, and I'm gonna let you know if it slips, okay?
Okay. No, in all seriousness, though, so what happened was I took time to like write up and develop lore, make a few characters. It started off with like a handful of commissions, and eventually it got to the point where I had enough like voice casts and like actors that I was able to make an actual origin story for this actual universe. So imagine, if you will, the story of a 1,000-year empire starting from the very early Renaissance era, leading all the way up to the far end of the diesel punk era.
The diesel punk era. Are you certain there was an era in our timeline that was that? I get what you're saying.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a diesel punk era.
Okay.
It's the one just with... Why,
you know
why
what
do you
diesel?
have to hit me wrong?
You know what diesel punk means, right?
Well, yeah, people start like using diesel and wearing gas masks and living in trenches and stuff.
Help me. Chat, rocks. Gather them. Secrios is going to be stoned. That's, you know what? Whatever. Yes, that's the diesel punk era. For the sake of continuing this, let's keep going.
Oh my god, did I oversimplify it?
No, just diesel punk has very certain connotations when you bring it up. It's kind of like cyberpunk.
Okay. No, yeah. Diesel punk, yeah, it has some Germanic leanings, perhaps. Okay, so in all seriousness, I have presented to you an image, Kibbs, in the Discord chat.
Which one?
The very first one, the one with the person lifting up the other person.
I question the second person, but yes. I have it up, by the way. There's a delay in the stream.
Oh, there's a delay in the stream. My bad. So, okay, effectively, in the story of the Obsidian Empire, of the Obsidian Archives, rather, you are a curator in the year 980. Now, do not get this confused. This doesn't take place on Earth. This takes place on a totally fictional fantasy world known as Obsidia, which lives next door to a few other realms that they have to travel through via Whirlpool. But effectively speaking, you are a curator in this Orwellian, not quite hellscape. Actually, some would argue it's borderline utopian, but at a very high cost, basically. Something akin to maybe the Hunger Games. And your job as curator is to categorize and read through lots and lots of different historical texts about the origins of your own empire. One of which being the legend of Milan Pendragon and his trusty imp assistant known as Ziria. It is a delightful tale about a prince who is completely by himself with no one but a few, like, you know, villagers and knights as they try and civilize the world that they are trapped on, known as Obsidia, from a very, very diabolical race of literal sand mummies. They're like made of sand, and they have like spooky like desert magic basically. And he has to team up with forces from the Nether Realm, which ends up being this adorable little creature known as Ziria.
Neato Cheeto.
Do you have any thoughts on these two before I continue?
No, I do not. I do not, because I have seen some of your clips, but not all. I've seen some of the impy thing doing impy things. She's a little bit of a bastard.
Oh man, where do I even begin? So when it came to writing up the character dynamics between the two, I thought, what if I tell like an old fairy tale story, but it has that Game of Thrones-esque kind of sadism to it. It has that kind of gritty, yeah, like the fantasy era was actually really effing brutal. And just like played with that idea. And I thought, yo, what if a Saturday morning cartoon villain had to team up with a HBO nuance style villain? You know, like really like kind of clash the two different understandings of what it means for a villain to be villainous as it was.
Yep, you're trying to what's the word? Tip it on its head, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. A dissection, something unexpected against all expectations. Some shit
Biggest
like that.
thinky, some might even say, yes.
Absolutely. Quick question. What is your policy on playing clips on this particular stream? Do you think we might be able to...
I can play a clip, but remember my audio's busted. Now, if you want, go ahead and keep chatting. I will attempt to resurrect that.
Ah, yes, the resurrection. A very important moment in history.
Fucking count your chickens. This thing is being a bit of an ass.
A little fun story. When writing up the Obsidian Empire, they started off actually quite generic. There were literally like an army of people wearing black armor, and they were completely obsessed with their emperor fanatically. And I think I might have taken a lot of connotations from like the 40k kind of ethos, where it's just like sheer doctrine and devotion, and a lot of like really, really ludicrous ways of, dominating the battlefield, as it were.
Yeah, give an example though. How so?
Okay, so a very, very gritty scene that happened in the actual D&D campaign. Whether or not this will be canon to the actual Obsidian Archives is yet to be seen, but we had a Darth Vader-like character known as Bolvar Flamehammer. He's a big, scary flame giant who's like so like scorching in flame that you just see like this like blackened silhouette with glowing eyes. And he basically he hijacks this ship with his like men of Black Knights, and they basically get the entire crew. And because of this new golden age, they have this idea of like separating the wheat from the shaft, as it was. You know, very, very like horrendous stuff. So basically, he would get these prisoners, these like crew members, to literally do push-ups, all right? And as soon as a person is physically unable to do any more push-ups, he would smash their head in with a mallet until only half of them are left. So,
okay. A bit violent, but all right.
Yeah, so basically it's a push-up contest, but for your life, because like they have this very strict ideology of only the strongest can survive because of resource distribution and stuff. They're very effed up like that. Kind of like Noxus, but like they still have like an emperor and stuff.
These names are going to get a little bit on the confusing side. But one thing I can say, though, is, you know what's funny? You talking about this, or I mess with this audio and it still doesn't want to work, reminds me, like, you're very passionate about your idea, your dream, your vision, right?
Yeah.
Yep, in the same vein that I am, too. And how far would you be willing to go for that dream?
Okay, here's how far I'm willing to go. Like, I think I have enough notes to cover probably the beginning and like
no,
the end of...
not necessarily what I mean. How far are you willing to go?
Oh, do you want me to like
No.
and... Okay.
As in like what are you willing to give up in exchange for that dream?
Okay, definitely time, definitely resources. Like I literally at the start of this production, I don't have any like me time anymore. All of it is communicating with the voice actors and doing works or whatever. I think where I might draw the line might be my own integrity. If someone like comes along as part of the production team and if they start making some very unreasonable demands, I might have to let them go, even if it might be emotionally painful to do so.
Hmm. But you...
Like,
oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Go on.
with projects like this, what I like to do, I won't advise this for everyone because everyone has a different way of doing things. I like to write my stuff as close to the line as possible. I do a lot of like really like dark things in this story. We're talking like cannibalism, betrayal, like threatening, threatening each other, stuff like that. Like really, I can't go into too much details because some of it will be very spoilery, as it were.
Yep, I understand completely. Because you want to keep that for the people that do check it out. Which, by the way, do check out the link in the description. There is a Secrios channel, and you can actually see the Obsidian Archives and what he's actually put out.
Yeah, I recommend starting with the Prince and the Imp. That is the foundational origin story for the actual main series. It sets the groundwork for the characters and the dynamics. A lot of the story takes place within the 0th century of their empire, where they've just like started up and they've created a Obsidian calendar to mark the occasion of their founding.
Mm-hmm. Good world building. Lots of fleshed out things about how their calendar works. That's the other thing, right? Constructing a calendar system, constructing the measurement system. I remember when we did Terrestrial, we ended up fucking doing the goddamn measurements of the globe, and then we did the tectonic plates. And I definitely blame Bubbles for that. But it's always nice when you add that extra layer of detail, because I think that adds a subtle nuance that people can read into the story, and they can be like, oh wow, that's so cool, like, that you added that detail, the fact that there's a unique calendar system. Though I do find, in my opinion, not sure about you, it's a tight rope you walk, because you can't go too far, because if you go too far, you'll start being like, oh, I'm going to call Earth Terrestroth or something like that. And then people are going to be like, okay, that's a bit much, where you're starting to put too many words in there. How do you find a subtle balance between the fictional words, like made-up words, like, the various nation states, etc., and character names, or do you just sort of, like, make it all up? Is there another word for magic, or is there another word for dirt? How far did you go?
Oh no, I do keep a lot of the phrase, like the phrase is rudimentary. I usually follow a system where I would look how other people use their English language and just kind of like mix and mash them together and so forth. Like, for example, I would take like a pedestrian name and I would like turn it into, like, I won't say what the original name is, but there is a guy called Carlos von Reichhausen, who comes up much later, but like that's literally just a regular name. But I said, okay, how do I make this German? How do I make this the most German sounding name possible? Etc. etc.
Yep, and then you end up looking at German umlauts and seeing how their language is, pronounced. As Germanic is very guttural, and yeah, it's kind of similar for how I do stuff too. When you come up with names, it's like, okay, what kind of, like, how does their language feel? How do their names feel? What kind of feelings do they evoke? Is it smooth and silky like the Elven of Tolkien's world? Because he made a very smooth and silky language.
Oh yeah, he the guy who did like Lord of the Rings was very obsessed with linguistics and language.
The guy who did it, all right.
Random dude.
Get
no,
the
right.
Tolkien,
It's not like he revolutionized fantasy or anything. Not a big deal.
That's true. He didn't.
He did.
Fucking wrote a fairy tale for children. That's all he did.
Bart, you little fucking whore.
Trigger his timbers until he breaks.
Arch is always like this. He loves Warhammer, and you know what? I admire Arch for that. By the way, he loves Warhammer to death. Like, it's his
Warhammer's great.
Yeah. Okay, be quiet. Okay, because I'm trying to make fun of him now. Okay, because he's a piece of shit. Okay, he's like, I love Warhammer so much. Oh my god, it's the best thing ever. And then it's like, oh, Arch, have you heard of Dune? It's like, Dune gay. And it's like, have you heard of Halo? It's like, Halo knockoff of 40K. And it's like, what about Star Wars? It's like, gay. And like, you ask him any IP, he's like, gay, 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 gay. And that's all he says to everything that isn't 40K. There isn't a single damn thing besides Starship Troopers or Real World History that this blonde bimbo likes. Babylon 5 doesn't like it. Deep Space Nine doesn't like it. Literally anything that's cool and amazing doesn't like it. Arch
Oh,
is
damn.
like a railroad. He just goes. He's an old man trapped in a old man body, you know? Like, he's older than old. Or maybe he's an older spirit, you know? It's hard to get him to try new things, and when he does, he's very cranky about it. He nips and he bites at you. He's like hisses. He does that. He does that frequently. Anytime I show him things, like when I showed him Factorio, he's like, Factorio looks kind of dumb. And then he played it like, wow, this is pretty amazing. Thank you, Kibbs. And you know what he said the next week? Oh, you didn't tell me about that game. I figured it out myself. Like, no.
Oh, you never told me
No
about
way.
Like, I
He
literally
does
have
that.
the email from the fucking developer giving me the key dated earlier
No,
than
that's
this.
not that. That's not true at all. Because I gifted you it. I gifted you at the same time I gifted you EDF, which you didn't accept till years later.
You sound like my friend Matthew. My friend Matthew has the exact same problem. I will recommend him stuff and he won't even touch it. Here's the thing, all right? I have a friend called Matthew. He's a little bit of a furry, right? And I would like recommend him an anime that happens to also be furry.
I was
But then
a
he
little
will
bit of a
find
furry too.
Not true. I lost a vote, and that's why I'm stuck with this avatar. Simple as. A deal's a
Okay.
deal.
There you say furry.
Wow.
Secrios proceeds to stroke ears. Ooh woo.
I'm going to bully you in the next Team
Oof.
Fortress 2 event, okay? I want you to know
Oh.
Secrios is a part of our community, and we do stuff together. And I've been mean to him. You know, I've called him mean names. And I'm going to have to come up with even meaner names.
The nepotism didn't save you from being called a furry again.
Didn't.
Yeah, sometimes there's some things
Be
that
ashamed of
nepotism
yourself.
cannot buy you.
You're lucky I'm holding my tongue. I could say your nickname right here and now. It's not even the best nickname. It's just funny. It makes me smile.
Oof.
But you know what one I'm thinking too, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, Kibbs, how is your audio? Like, I heard you've been having a lot of issues with it. I might be able to help you fix it.
My audio? You mean my
Yeah, you
PC?
said you had issues? Yeah, you said
Okay.
you're having issues.
My stream PC is being retarded because Streamlabs OBS will just randomly devour 99.9% of my memory because there's some sort of issue. I need to reinstall Streamlabs OBS later, but I'm not going to do that right now. because
So we're trapped
that would-
without any audio then.
Yeah, we are. It kind of sucks. But what I can do is I can put a video on with subtitles. But the thing is, we should actually be directing to your channel. So actually drop me a link to the video and then we'll discuss it. Right now. Chop chop.
All right. Okay.
Let's go, Grandma.
Oh my god, you know what you could do? You could just like put
What do
your
you
mic right
mean?
next to your speaker and see what happens.
The audio quality would be so horrendous. It wouldn't even
It'll be funny. Nah, I'm kidding.
Like,
It's all good.
wow. This is the jankiest thing ever. A piece of shit. Fuck. I hate Streamlabs OBS now. Used to work just fine. Last patch crashes, causes my entire computer to freeze up. Oh, what a nightmare. If
Here
anybody
you go,
noticed
Gibbs.
the Star Trek episode where it just gets awkward, that happened in the middle of that. Why don't you use real OBS? Because, James, you need to set it up for me because I'm lazy. Now, where's the... I'm having a meltdown. Alright, so let's see. You know what? I think I might be able to jury rig something. Actually, hold on. Gibbs has something. He's thinking. Spin the microphone around. We're going to open it up on this computer. Now, let me close all the lewd documents I have open.
As we all know, Catboys have 220 IQ upon average.
Let me Catboy again, and I will make sure this never opens. Oh, my eardrums. Yep, that's going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here. We're going to go add new scene, okay? Easy peasy.
I say it
steps.
as a term of endearment, in all
You
honesty.
say it, but you know what you did? You burned bridges. Now when I cancel you later, you'll know why.
Oof.
Alright, so there, look at that.
I've been cancelled like 5 times already, dude.
Woman, don't argue with
I'm
me.
like, oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. Alright, look at that. We can pull it up. Now, blonde whore, where are you? There you are. Look at this, okay? I'm gonna stream it, so we're gonna do a watch along. Look at that. Now make sure you open up
Based.
the stream. Open up the stream, Blondie. Come on, Grandma, let's go. Jury rigging shit here. Janky ass programs.
You haven't said me anything.
No, I didn't send you shit. Now open the stream. Click on Kibs and open it now.
It's showing loading boxes and I can hear myself.
Whoops, I think I'm streaming the wrong one. Then. Loading
Whoops.
boxes and I can't hear myself. That's funny. That made me laugh a little. There we go. Now it's working. Arch, open. Go.
I'm seeing it.
No, you're not. Liar. Spectators 1. Discord. There we go. Obedient, as you should be.
Greetings, young curator. I can see that you desire to learn
Whoa,
about
who's
the
this
birth
voice?
of our great nation.
Sounds familiar.
Sorry to disappoint, but most reports on the Empire's early history have been stricken from the record for national security. Do not fret, however. I did manage to save this delightful piece during the tail end of the Silicon War and the unification of Obsidian Prime.
Double checking. How delayed are we
It is
talking on
called
YouTube?
The Imp and the Prince. Now, the Prince.
Wait, woman.
If you read the Russheim translation, yeah. Anyway, it all
Oh, people
starts
saying
in a
wrong
dark
screen.
cellar
Oh,
underneath the
fuck.
Time Baron's palace during the siege of Celica.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
My life is a pain. I did it. Fixed it.
What
Fixed.
have they been keeping down here?
Seems to be arcane regents, my lord.
Good audio quality, by the way.
Whatever these are,
Oh, thanks,
they
man.
should prove fruitful in our efforts. Scout out and recover the valuables.
Both of you disappeared.
Show yourself.
That's fine. There's gonna be issues with the
You
jury
must
rigging.
be the prince who slain the Time Baron. Good riddance.
Demon.
If that's what I am, what does that make you? I heard the screams up there. You weren't just killing soldiers, were you?
I didn't come down here to be lectured by such a foul imp. Give me a reason why I shouldn't strike you down here and now.
You could, but what would I do with all these wishes?
You are a funny one, but you're no genie.
Oh, silly prince. Genies aren't the only creatures that can grant wishes. For example, an imp like myself could bend the universe to your will.
But at what cost? I doubt the Time Baron had any use for you when he summoned you. You must have asked a steep price.
You would think so, but no. The truth is, he asked for the impossible. The moment I told him, I ended up here.
His son. You couldn't resurrect a soul that had already traveled to heaven.
You are a sharp one, aren't you? But I am not surprised. You were Alicia's favorite child.
You little wench! You have no right to bring up my mother's name like that. Especially from such vile lips like yours.
There it is! The anger, the hatred, the sheer malice. It's no wonder you beat my master.
Why the hell are you like this? I was half considering letting you go.
And why should I care? Live? Die? Freedom or servitude? I will always return to hell. Thinking you can control my fate is the cutest thing I've ever seen. Hey, so is it true
Is what true?
that you killed her?
I'd rather not talk about it.
You keep that weight in your mind? It might kill you someday.
I'm well aware of that. I just don't think this is something that concerns you. I had a long day and all I want to do is steal some shit and leave.
You know, I could always direct you to the hidden treasure room if you let me out.
And what if either of us breaks our word?
Well, it wouldn't be nice now, would it?
God damn it. Secrios.
You want to take a little pause here?
Oh, we'll pause
We
that
can
there.
podcast jury-rigged solution there.
That also made my spine turn to jello. The joke thing there, where they tried to do the thing. I cannot believe you did that, Secrios.
Which
That
thing?
is just your humor. See, the worst part is because I know you. That is his humor. It's the like fucking. What do you mean, which thing? I'm gonna hit
There's
you.
a lot of things that happened. No, really, I could count 5 of them. You only found one.
Found one. It was the last thing that happened. No, I'm
Oh, okay. You mean the part where, oh, what if you Ross betray our word? Well, it wouldn't be nice now, would it? mean that
yeah, that one.
It's meant to be a very spiritual understanding between the characters, something ephemeral as it was.
The question now remains: is how the fuck do I restore the? Well, God has forsaken me, and abandoned me, and hates me.
The horrors of having 2 computers.
Horrors of having to move things around to jury rig it, and then unintentionally maybe breaking everything in the process. Listen, just know that the stream has had issues, and it's Arch's fault. Had
In
Arch,
our last name, you are both weirdos.
that's true,
Yeah.
but
More importantly, how long did it take you to make this, Sekiros?
When you say this, do you mean like the whole
The
series
video.
or the video? Okay, so this was back when we were setting up development. I'd say it took me about like a month, maybe less.
And how many people were involved?
We could actually find out. There's actually a credits. Let me take a little look. See. So when I look at the info for this vid, we had about, well, obviously there's myself, but then there is, okay, we got Tarek, the narrator, who happens to be a person named Arch Warhammer. Never heard of him before. Who on earth could he be?
some nobody, I'm sure.
Okay, we got Milan, who is voiced by Will DeRenzi Martin. Ziria, voiced by Jordan Zakat. The guards are voiced by 2 different people, Langor and Beautiful Valentine. Crew members, okay, we got Captain Jojo and Staunch Orphan.
All right, names will go over my head. Numbers.
Okay,
How many people?
Numbers. Okay, all right. Let me get my thumbs out. Okay.
I was never good with names.
Okay, let's say anywhere between 10 and 12. How does that sound? 10 or 12. 10 or
10 or
12.
12. You're smaller than my studio. Size matters. No kidding.
And yet you produced more than Kyle has.
Actually, where's
Well,
that
yeah.
background noise stemming from?
Back down again.
Did you hear that?
No?
I didn't hear anything.
Did Arch, did you say something to me? Say something again.
Kyle, you're being a weirdo again.
There it is. Got it. Audio started seeping through that monitor. I didn't even know it had speakers.
Oh, god damn it.
But
Look at
yeah.
that. We did it. We fixed it again. Whew.
Wow, that's amazing.
This thing is loaded with fun.
So yeah, effectively, this endeavor started off as like a small group, and the group kind of expanded, and eventually it just kind of became a Discord server. I would literally have like maybe 3 or 4 different artists like running around making small batches of like slides and images to like produce like the actual stories. Like it's not all limited to a single style. Given the format of the show, Tarek, actually, do you have a picture of Tarek? We could probably like bring him up so people know who we're talking about. I might be able to Let's
Send
see.
it to the Kibbs account and open it up.
Yep. Yes, boss. Are we
So,
running? Here we go.
production-wise, you have to storyboard out the sequences, right? And then
Mhm,
render
yeah.
them out, and then you do the audio work, and that's
Yeah.
kinda it, right? Besides the editorial work.
Yeah, pretty much.
I kind of figured. Man, I'm envious. Oh, that's a nice workflow, because that's nice. That's always what I wanted to do. If I ever did lore stuff, is something like what you did, where it's like it's a 4-phased process where you just get nice fancy art, edit it all together, bang it out, and get some good voice work. It's quite nice.
So this fellow here on your screen is a guy named Tarek. He is a crystalloid creature that serves alongside the Emperor of Obsidia, and he is voiced none other by Arch himself. He has the right demeanor, the right accent, the right tone and attitude, and it really makes the character come to life. It is always a thrill, like hearing the vocal performance at the start of any Tarek related story.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, you want me to say something else, or
No, I was just acknowledging what you said. The character who's got crystals on his forehead, and I can't stop staring at them. Are they floating, or are they actually attached to his head?
Okay, so I think part of this was the artist's interpretation of the character, and we've kind of like stuck with it now. Basically, I was somewhat. I think I've always wanted to make like a crystalline kind of like creature that's like human, but like fairly like hyper intelligent due to the composition of their like brain cells or whatever, because it's like it's literally silicon diamonds and stuff.
Oh, I see.
And I thought, you know what I mean, what's better for like an all expanding empire than to have like a lot of different like fancy creatures like working in unison to make something really powerful and dangerous, basically. Something akin to the Covenant.
I'm not sure I see the correlation there.
Didn't the Covenant like envelop a load of different alien species and they would use them for different stuff?
Yep, they're made up of a combination of different alien races. Yeah, that is true. They're hyper specialized. What are you gonna say,
human,
Barge?
for example, to activate their dumbass thingamajigs.
Good thing I'm the admin here. Right click, bang. Right.
Diamonds in the brain. Couldn't agree more, Abaddon. There is another 2 pictures that you can switch to if you like. There is this one really adorable one here, and there's also a giant map.
Gonna send them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, they're already up. If you just scroll back up,
Oh,
you'll
okay.
see.
Yep, I
Yeah.
see the map. It was posted a while ago. Does not like it. That's better. All right. I've got the map open.
Okay, so the map here is the actual world of Obsidia. I have taken extensive like learning courses on like creating maps using the Incarnate tool. Really wonderful, like, group of people. Gives you like all the tools you need to like, whip out a map within a matter of like a few hours or whatever. So the main crux of the Obsidian Empire, like Obsidian Archives, is definitely the conflict between the Obsidian Isles and the nation of Silica. I like tried to tell like a bit of a reverse enslavement story where a bunch of exiles from the lands of Albion would go onto the volcanic lands of Obsidia towards the south. If you scroll down a little,
I see it now.
yeah. Effectively, it is the last surviving heir of a dying dynasty known as House Pendragon, if you're familiar with Arthurian legend. I did a bit of Wikipedia searching, and it turns out that Mordred had like 1 or 2 sons, and I was like, oh great, free real estate. And so I decided to flesh out the legend of how the lowly son of Mordred would claw his way from exile and oblivion to try and reclaim the Albionic throne. From a mere slave to a disgruntled gladiator to the ward of a Sandkin nobleman to eventually having all the psychological tools he needs to actually perform functioning statecraft. It's kind of like a mix between the story of Gladiator mixed with the story of Vlad the Impaler. if you are familiar, I think there was a point where Vlad was more or less the ward to some Turkish nobles, if I remember correctly. Am I on the right path with this one?
Yes.
But basically, little knowing that them educating Milan would make him completely dangerous as a person, basically. So we are now in like, well, I say current day, but effectively year 0 of the Obsidian Empire. As you saw from the video, Milan has basically invaded Silica and he's looking through all their trash, and that's where he finds Ziria, and that's where the main story unfolds. It's not about the invasion, it's about holding everything together, which I think is 10 times more dangerous and like tiresome in terms of leading a country. It definitely follows the narrative struggle of the dilemmas of autocracy, the dangers of like monarchy as well. A lot of pieces that you have to hold together, basically.
Monarchy is the future.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay,
Alpha
Europeans,
Dad, absolute
continue.
monarch.
Europeans are like, monarchy. Little savages.
Base monarchy, base nobility. Enough said.
It is the only answer. So this this one episode alone took like a month of your life, and then you've made everything else, and you've written everything else down. Lots of world creation, like world building, names, locations, maps, etc., etc., etc. You spend a decent amount of time on this, and you've got a lot of art, a lot of voice acting work together as well.
Yes.
How was the reception of everything you felt?
When you say the reception, do you mean from the staff or from the people actually watching the show?
No, in general, in total.
Okay, so the way I've experienced it is when I released the episodes, both the crew and anyone who took the time to actually like look at the video was like, oh my god, this is really interesting. I really like the voice acting. Oh yeah, I mean it is. It's really hype. The issue, like the only issue I would say is due to the fact that this is a brand new channel, you have to take the lumps and climb upwards. So like, even though the exposure was like, ratio wise highly positive, it's like positive of a small pond. Analogously speaking.
Analogously.
Oh no, now I can't pronounce that word. Oh god, is it analogous? No,
Analogous. Analogous.
Analogous.
Tremendous.
Oh my goodness, that opened a can of worms. But yeah, you were on the uphill climb because you, like, viewership wise, like what your biggest video had like maybe 300 views or something like that, or 1,000.
Yeah, the biggest video has, I believe, 1,200 views, and that's the first one. That's usually the one I will usually show first, either that or the Shroomkin Hustle.
I mean, the first video in a series is always going to be the largest, and then the latter will always be the smallest. Generally.
Yeah, generally.
There are exceptions to
Depends.
that rule, but not always.
I like the fact that if you look in chat, there's a lot of people now hailing Pendragon and the Emperor. That's incredibly based.
Monarchy
Really?
is the solution. America will learn this
Absolutely.
as well eventually.
Oh, absolutely. Like. Here's the thing: when was the last time they actually voted for a president they actually liked?
Meanwhile, they could have a king that they could all like.
A king that we can loathe and despise. Again. Wow. This sounds
amazing.
familiar. This is like 1776 again. Wow.
To put it like this, if you felt like revolting over a 5% T-tax, why aren't you in Washington right now, Kyle?
Says Barch. Times change. And if you don't get that reference, then
But it does.
you can kill yourself. Right now.
Sheep is what you are, Kyle.
I
Please
got
for
a
a monarchy.
I got a question for the audience.
And it wasn't about the taxation, it was about lack of representation, you absolute mongoloid. God
shit.
damn it, Arch.
Well, no, the lack of representation was as an effect of the taxation. They were taxed and they couldn't
Yes,
say
and
anything
the
against it
big
because they
thing
didn't have
was because they
representation.
didn't
The
have
tax was the grounding element.
representation. Now we do, but it's corrupt, blah, 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 blah. But either way, this is a side tangent. Now back to the focus, which is Secrios. Oh, what's this?
Deal. I think this
Oh,
is the
damn.
problem when Kyle loses an argument.
It's not that I lose an argument, it's that I corrected you because you were wrong. Now, what is this?
Okay, so two things. First of all, I think one of the biggest appeals with the Obsidian Archives and the way that I've decided to write this was I was always thinking to myself, how would a 4X player enjoy it? Because I've hung around a lot of 4X communities. I was around Shorefire Taku server. I was around the Sleepy server, etc. Like a lot of people that would play like stuff like Hearts of Iron, Victoria, etc.
You said Dev in that sentence or paragraph?
Yes, I did.
Dev doesn't. Dev is a Nintendard. He doesn't play games.
Oh, not him, but I know people from his server that definitely do play 4X games.
Doubt. Quoting
Doubt,
Dev
okay.
and games in the same sentence is like quoting, like honesty in a politician. Like you just like it doesn't quite work now, does it?
Correct.
See the problem here.
I tell you this, okay, my dude. The point is that throughout all the years that Paradox games have come out, they have made a lot of stories that covered a lot of different moments in history. And I noticed that there's a lot of like people that greatly enjoy these like works of art and these history. And I feel like as a creator, to a degree, I think I could create something that could cater to most of them in a way that really like captures the spirit and what it is that these people really like love about these games, other than like the absurd amounts of math, which is the history, the geopolitics, and the world building. And I thought, if this was literally a 1,000-year empire, then there's a lot of real estate to play with. The story of Milan, Pendragon, and Zyria covers only like the medieval and the Renaissance era, the Dias Vault realm as it was. But towards something akin to the 18th and very early like 19th century, like, the Napoleonic era and stuff, I have been playing around with the ideas of are you familiar with the Mexican Revolution?
Not really, because I find Mexican history to be boring.
Okay, fair enough. So basically, I went out of my way and I decided to make a story arc very akin to... Are you familiar with the Dune series?
Yep. Read the
I
videos,
imagine-
read the books, at least the first three, if I'm right.
Exactly. So I teamed up with an artist friend of mine called The Boy, and we got together and we decided that we would make a story like, kind of self-contained within Obsidian history on an area known as the Badlands, as they would collect the scattered remains of a red dragon known as Red Dust, which would allow the user to perform pyrokinesis. And this would develop into a kind of like a pseudo like Dune parody, where it is the conflict between House Harkon and House Alessandri as they vie for control of the region. But here's the real kicker. The actual genre isn't a war drama, but it's a Spanish soap opera. And it's between Pedro Alessandri and Baroness Harkon. Pedro Alessandri has been traumatized by his abusive father, and he's kind of like a helpless soft boy who has some like really like major issues, and like he just wants like a shoulder to hug and cry on. It's a very like kind of comedic, kind of self-defeating kind of story, as it were. While meanwhile, we have a character known as Baroness Harkon, who is a complete, like, she's meant to be like really serious, but she kind of dons on this a bit of a tsundere attitude as soon as Pedro enters the room. He's like, "It's not like I don't like you or anything, Bucker," stuff like that. In other words, I basically destroyed the Dune franchise for shits and giggles.
I don't believe you.
You don't believe me?
Me neither.
What? Did someone beat me to it? Did someone destroy it before me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was a son.
His son. I was about to say his daughter.
Dang.
oh,
But yeah,
damn.
definitely his son.
That's what people say.
But-
I haven't read his books though.
This kind of does illustrate what we've been talking about here. Like, you need to do all of this, and you need to keep doing all of this, and you need to keep doing this for about 20 years, and
Yeah.
And
then you'll
maybe,
get somewhere.
maybe you'll get somewhere. It's always a
Maybe.
maybe because like it's like with your thing, it's like with my thing, Secrios. Like we work on it, we spend God knows how many hours and God knows how much money on it, and at the end of the day, it's all just a big old dice roll. For all we know, all that work will amount to nothing, and we'll end up, being a sales clerk somewhere. That
Oh,
is the
yeah.
reality of content creation. That is the reality
That's true.
of all these risks and all these things, is that they can and they will fail. In fact, fun fact, the majority of people that do what we're doing don't make it.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I've seen some very like tragic cases. Like I know like there's been several voice actors that have like tried to start up things and
If it don't make the cut, it sucks.
exactly. With that said, however, this has caught the interest of various members of the ARG community. Are you familiar with the ARG community?
What by Allah's merciful butt cheeks is an ARG?
Okay, an ARG is otherwise known as an alternative reality game. These are people that like would like theorize about different bits of internet creative content as they would try and decipher bits of world building and lore that aren't fully fleshed out to see if they could piece together, or they might even have to decipher codes. Are you familiar with stuff like Monuments Mythos, Mandela Catalog, or heck, even the damn like Slender Man series back in the day?
So what you're
Fan
basically
pornography.
just telling me is these are theory crafting people.
Yeah, these are fan fictions.
Yes.
Well, these are theory crafting people. Yeah,
Well, they're not necessarily fan fiction. They're trying to theory craft. It's the same vein happens to when I post a piece of art, just like I assume with you. You know, people look at it and go like, huh, that based on that character's design, maybe they're inspired by, Babylonians, whatever, and they try to theory craft on what it is. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, exactly. I had a very, very pleasant encounter. Here's the thing. If you actually go on any of the Obsidian Archives videos, there is some numbers and letters next to each other. And I invite the audience to try and like decipher this code. But someone in the ARG community has actually like cracked the code. I won't name them and I won't name how they cracked it. But let me tell you, it is an absolute rush to make a thing that only a very, very select few can actually solve.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely can relate to that. We've got a couple characters where one person almost figured out something, and I'm like, that's interesting. But as a creator, you can't really tell them. You have to just sort of sit there and be like, fascinating.
Maybe. I cannot comment nor deny.
And then you change the story.
Oh, then you're
that's
George R. R.
dirty.
Martin. No, no. Then you're just being a cheeky fucking asshole.
Yeah, I would never do that. Usually, I think of the most likely answer and I just make sure it's not the answer, just on
Yep.
purpose.
I mean, this boils back to my philosophy on story crafting and writing. If somebody's any story, anything made by human hands or mortal hands can be deciphered by mortal eyes. Like it's simple as. And if the odds are somebody's going to figure out something or some plot thread or some character twist, right? But you know what? That's good. Good for them. You don't lash out at them. You don't try to one up them. That means that they did a good job. They deciphered and deconstructed the story and they figured out what it was. That's cool. You should be appreciative of that. Or it could be like George R. R. Martin and be like, no, I gotta go back and change it.
I think what also to take in consideration as well, the fact that I've even got to experience those feelings is already a milestone in it of itself, and is like, to me, was definitely worth the time putting the effort in. Like the fact that like someone has took the effort to actually bother to decipher the code mean that I must have at least impacted someone at some point for something, you know?
Happens sometimes.
So this image here is a guy named Nepalon Bombosa. Now you can't tell from this picture, but he is a creature known as a halfkin, which is it's a very like rugged, like angry kind of like halfling creature. He is basically a stand-in for a kind of like Napoleon kind of character. He loves cannons. He loves explosions. I teamed up with an artist and I was thinking, yo, could we just make like a very, very deranged looking fantasy like
Captain Torres from Ace Combat, and I was like, oh my god, yes, let's do it. And so we went out and we've just made this like deranged megalomaniacal monster who probably has like 1,000 like nukes hiding somewhere. Like really, like I love writing these kind of characters. They really, it's like, you know, you have your standard ass story, but some guy just comes in and it's like, yo, I'm gonna just flip the chessboard later, guys.
Being a bit of what we call a prick.
Oh yeah, hardcore. Like I tell you, like House Bombosa, like they haven't shown up yet, but let me tell you, right? House Bombosa really like, you know, gets the gears moving on like the present day storyline of Obsidia. Like if you watch any of the videos, like you as the viewer is technically a character and you are technically living that present day Obsidia based on the audio visual experience that it gives the viewer. Really gives like a lot of autonomy. And I am thinking partially that depending what kind of comments get written in the videos, we might, you know, like get to like craft things in a way that gives the viewer a certain level of autonomy in the way the present day narrative unfolds, giving an almost choose your own adventure kind of feel. Really makes the viewer feel in control in a generation where creators are hell-bent on taking control away from the viewer, as it were.
Let's see. Well, I always say on that regard is, generally, linearity often gets overshadowed. It gets shouted down as being bad. When in actuality, it's actually based in squeak build. It's actually the best. In fact, it might even be superior to what you call player decisions.
Put a pin in that. I gotta ask you, have you played The Last of Us Part 2?
I have. But that's not quite what I'm talking about.
Okay, usually when I think linearity, that is kind of what I'm thinking of.
My goodness.
Yeah, it's sad.
Game is The Last of Us Part 2.
Damn. See, when I think linearity, I think Nier Automata, and I'm like, that's pretty good, you know? Linearity has its charm, it has its benefits. Just like Sandbox has its negativity as well. Drawing up the straw man that is Last of Us Part 2 to make your point is cute, but I do think Barch has something to say, don't you, Blondie?
Oh, he does. Let's hear.
He wants to apologize to me, call me great.
Kyle's game is The Last of Us Part 2.
Right. Arch, I'm doxing you. I'm sorry. No, hold that. I'm not sorry.
But not quite as popular.
Next time I'm canceled. Next time you're canceled.
Next time you're cancelled. Yes, indeed.
No.
There'll be many refund requests from Kyle's loyal patrons when they discover the bait and switch. Like, hold on, this is The Last of Us Part 2.
Actually, it's just Abby is the main character. They're like, no, no.
Meanwhile,
Gets really
Kyle's
angry.
sitting on an island in the South Pacific in a monarchy, sipping Mai Tai. It's like, yes. But I'm going to start wrapping things up with the super chats now, since we do have some other things to do today as well. So let's see. What else is in here? This is Opossum warning Fuzzy to stop sending him inappropriate DMs. We read that one. Glow in the Dark says, sing and dance the dance of my people. Kim's always late, late, late. For that is his fate.
I know. See, bizarrely, it was going to be Arch that was late, but then fucking my computer decided to be like, I'm going to just crash. And it's like, okay, never mind then.
That's what you get.
Thanks, Bill Gates.
Lord Possums also says, as a representative of the Arch fan club, I must ask you to swear loyalty to Arch, never betray him, and to breed Gibbs.
I swear loyalty to Arch.
What a fucking sense.
Another person to breed Gibbs.
Oh my.
What a strange world we live in. Borg says, do an Edge Runner review. Come on, it'll be cringe. Ah, yes, I looked up that. Edge Runner is the Cyberpunk animation, and it looks like it has the same story from Cyberpunk 2, which, see, that isn't necessarily the worst idea ever, because the Cyberpunk story was absolutely a story that should have been told in movie or series format, not as a video game. Oh
god, you reminded me. Yeah, because you play as V and you're like, oh cool, I'm the character, and then they're like, no, it's the other guy, it's Silver. Like, he's John, was it John Silver or something like that? He's the main character. You're just like a side tertiary character, and somebody else's story, and it's like, wow, what a cuck way to write a story for a game. And the best part is the opening of that piece of shit game, that piece of trash. That opening where it shows you have that relationship with that weird dude with the weird little hair bun thing. Like, it goes through a montage of what should have been the game, building up this character and this relationship, only to kill him off like 5 minutes later and be like, do you feel? And I'm just, no feeling.
Okay,
I
sorry
don't
to
actually
sound...
care much about whatever his actor name is now.
Munban.
That was the problem. He was just the actor. Like, again, if Johnny Silverhand had been Johnny Silverhand, maybe I could have given a shit about the character, but no. It's just that dude from the Johnny Wick movies or whatever.
We are wait, sorry, I think my brain just lapsed. We talking about The Last of Us Part 2, or did we move on to a different game?
Oh, we're talking about Kyle's video game now, yes, with
What?
Johnny
What are we
Silverhand in
talking
it,
about?
correct.
Okay, that's not what I remember, but alright. We were just
Yeah.
talking about Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, Cyberpunk. Oh, yeah.
No,
We were not talking about my game, and we were not talking about Last of Us Part 2 either. And those
It's
things
made
should be
by
in the same
Trigger and
sentence.
CD Projekt Red.
Oh, Trigger, the animation studio known for one gimmick.
I tell
Don't
you
get
this,
me
alright.
wrong, Trigger can make some decent stuff, but meh.
I
Trigger
tell you
can
this.
burn.
The Last of Us, not fuck. What do you call it? Cyberpunk. Okay, Cyberpunk, in my opinion, is one of the best tech demos of all time. It has definitely helped a lot of GPU manufacturers test out their stuff, and I hope that it will be testing out more GPUs in the future.
I hope not. I hope their
Oh,
company
well.
crashes and burns.
Wait, game? It's a game? Oh god, no.
I would point out, if Trigger just made more Kill la Kill, I'd be happy for them.
I just want to see ass and titties, and you know what? That's the only thing they're good at. Storytelling is not their strong suit.
Kill la Kill was a neat parody. I quite enjoyed it for what it was, but that's also practically the only Trigger anime I think I've liked in recent memory.
It was
A
just
Darling
ass
in the
and titties.
Franks, everyone seemingly loved that one. I did not like it. I haven't watched Gridman yet because it looks like Darling in the Franks. It's like, man.
They only have one trick. They just copy paste.
We'll see. If we don't have any other series to do about then maybe. Because right now we're, of course, watching Star Trek, and it's actually kind of alright, which is rare.
But don't jinx it. We've only watched 3 episodes. 2 of them were, and 1 of them was okay.
Lazy
Yeah.
Soda says, Hail NTR fan. I too like Nero the Radiant, best horse girl from Arknights. Jesus.
God damn.
Arknights anime coming out. Look forward to infectious killer rock disease, cute stoic rabbit girl leader, and PTSD bear girl. Best Taketo Sicarius and GW's love for him. We'll see. The Girls Frontline anime was apparently really shit, though I haven't watched it. I'm gonna have to at some point. And Arknights, didn't get into Arknights. It's an inferior version of Azure Lane. Okay.
I don't know why, but
Oh,
I'm
it is.
very happy that would turned out shit for some reason.
Speaking of, the creators of Genshin Impact is making a new game, Kyle, and you know what that means.
Genshin Impact. That was not a fun game to play. That was a chore. That was boring.
Yeah,
That
it
was
wasn't necessarily a
boring.
fun game to play, but it was a wonderful demonstration of what you could be doing with
Yeah.
mobile gaming.
And we already have good demonstrations. You can play Company Heroes and Medieval 2 on your phone. I don't want to
Yeah,
play
but those
Genshin
don't have anime
Impact.
gills, so they don't count.
Chat. Taking the Barch out back.
I think
Oh,
there are more
no.
Genshin Impact fans out there than there are Kyle Sims.
Need to punish the Barch for he has sinned.
Shadowfox20 says, where is the Blackjack and Hookers arch? Or is that why you got Kibbs? Well, he
Ouch.
might be a hooker. He's not Blackjack, though.
I know how to play blackjack. It's an okay game.
Why? Why haven't
Well,
you learned this stupid, outdated analog thing?
Stupid outdated. Here's the thing. I watched like a German stream, and like he would pretend to be a guy called Mr. Green. He would just get like loud, gruff, and angry, and he would just like play like blackjack on an old like SNES game. It was truly the funniest thing.
Sounds like 2000s YouTube.
Yeah, it really is.
A different era, if you.
The era of Boogie. Fat man screams at screen. Zeon says, greetings, Arch and Kibbs. Explain who is responsible for your tardiness, and then punish them with the worst thing you can imagine. Praise Neoth, the pointless. I am already punishing Kyle in the worst way he can imagine, as we still have Season 2 of Halo on the horizon.
Maybe it'll be cancelled.
Nah, I don't think so. But maybe we'll get more Star Trek Strange New Worlds, or even better, a renewal of STD.
Uh,
God, I wish we'd been doing reviews when STD came out, because then I could be there. Pew pew noises, positive, and Kyle's like.
STD was just weird.
No, STD was good Trek.
Arch likes Star Trek Discovery chat.
Wait, you do?
He does.
It's the only good Trek. Mostly because they never really cared about anything except the pew pew noises. I quite enjoyed the pew pew noises.
Like, anybody who defends Arch at this point is a simp and a cuck. And the only one, anyone who stands with Kibbs is now a Chad and a lad. Okay?
Not to
That's
mention,
just
they were
that's
so
established.
diverse and inclusive. Like, you had that neo-Nazi Black Power leader from America, for example, show up as the Earth president in the last season. That was very inclusive.
Wow. I'm kind of taken back.
And
damn.
you have the Asian chick dressed in all gold as the God Emperor of humanity and shit. Like, that too was very diverse. Like, wonderful show, okay? Wonderful show.
That's
Am I
good.
being punked? Am I being
You
punked?
even
right now?
have the
No,
gay
he's
dude.
serious.
Like, there's gay people, there's children geniuses, they're androgynous teenagers. It is a very diverse show.
Wait. So are you okay with the fact that they literally ripped off some sort of like comic writer with this whole water bear being able to like teleport through the microbial verse or whatever, and they had
The
to
water bear was fine. It was a very peaceful animal. I particularly like that plot point. Oh yes, the water bear. It is a very peaceful animal. Rip, tear, crush, kill. I like that plot point. I also enjoyed the plot point with Saru, the very obviously, incredibly, ridiculously strong, fast, and lethal monster thing. I was like, yes, my people have been harvested for generations. Plot point. See, Kyle, it had the deep plots that you just don't understand. It's unfortunate, but there you are.
And this is where Kibbs gains all of your followers.
Oh my.
I particularly also liked the super subtle hints that they dropped with Saru, like having him beat the shit out of the Mary Sue, have him run at like 80 kilometers through the forest, and have the people who hunt him be incredibly creepy looking liquid oil monsters that look like evil personified. Very subtle. But anyway, subtlety aside.
Now that we've outed Arches.
General Zix says, hello, our overloaded and most esteemed guest. Please excuse most violent, sexually abusive latentness of Kyle. Bailiff will arrive shortly to smack his nuts.
What?
Unironically, I think we would have far less crimes in the world if we did have corporal punishment, like having your nuts smacked with a very cold ladle, for example. I think that would discourage a great deal of criminal activity.
Oh, no. What are you going to do to Whammonses? Right in the ovaries?
No, we have transition technology now. We'll give them a balls.
Oh no.
It might harshen the punishment a pinch or two, but they're criminals. Don the Dark says, Arch is the Batman and Kibbs is the Robin. And we all know he's the side chick. And sure, there is a female Robin out there somewhere. I once saw a lovely little... No. Let's not go there. That was pretty awful. Never mind. Joseph Diaz, Batgirl became more useful as Oracle. You're not wrong. I do love the fact too, like, okay, here's how we know that Batman was a pretty base TV show, right? Because you got the female hero, and it's like, I'm just as good as the guys, and then somebody shoots her, and she's lame now, and she becomes a glorified Google, where Batman is like, I could just ask the computer to search for this because it's got voice recognition, but instead, hey, Oracle, look up this phone number for me, and then Oracle turns to the computer and says, hey, computer, look up this phone number for me.
He became a glorified secretary? Damn, based.
It was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, the Possums, for a very generous $20. Thank you very much. You're sending a lot of messages today. Are you okay? Calm down. You drunk
Possum's been really hyper today.
It's normal.
Comic Art Pro Secrets, or Ethan Van Schrijver, is another comic artist that is against the SJWs. He made the comic Cyberfrog, and he's one of the most successful comic book artists on Indiegogo. You might like him. I do like him. I know of him even. And he has done a good job. He has become a popular boy. Maranga 2, fact of the day. If you call someone a Swede in New Zealand, you're calling them an R word. Yes. Correct. Sweden will not be allowed into NATO. This is the one good thing that Turkey has done in that alliance, and all hail Erdogan. You know, his other crimes have long since been forgiven in my book. Adoman, good job, Arch, for building those stairs on your mountain in Echo. That must have taken you hours. Kibbs could learn from your hard work. He fucking could, he could.
Oh my god, I built those stairs. After you went to bed, we stayed up till 10 and it's still not done. It's almost done.
You're still not done? Fuck.
You have any idea how big that construction is? It's massive. You like built the pyramids of Giza over by barge.
Good.
I played Eco once. It melted my old GPU.
Yeah, the Eco is it seems to be rather resource intensive for some reason with certain rigs. Because despite me having like pretty good gear, pretty modern shit, like it runs like a potato. But yeah, last night's Eco was crazy.
It's a pretty sad video game, and I believe it deserves many punishments.
Arch was sad because Arch is like, I'm gonna be a hunter in Eco, and then he's like, but I lag. So the arrows
it turns out the hunting system is just awful. Like, granted, I was rendering a video at the time, so I'm hoping that's what it is next time I log in. God. But the weird thing is, every shot at an animal's head or side is just fine. But whenever you're shooting at their ass, their anus just fucking expands and sucks that arrow in and then neutralizes it in their guts.
What on earth? That's terrifying.
Sandoom says, damn Arch, you're making me miss the old days of YouTube. I remember getting my first phone and got a YouTube app to watch stuff before copyright slaughter. I watched all of the Dragon Ball Z Cell Saga episodes. Oh, you could find everything on YouTube back in the day. Everything.
YouTube
and
ads
that was one actual genuine problem too, that people didn't buy music anymore because it was just quicker and easier to get in YouTube, and it still is in many cases, to the point that YouTube monetized it.
Wow. Rude.
Dumbass. Like, okay, music artists, disgusting subclass of human beings, okay? Just oppress them. Oppress them. Worse than actors, I swear.
Oof.
Black 1917, Squeck and Hail Arch Christ, our Lord and Savior, Sound and Breed Kibbs. Hello, new person, Secrios. Hi, Opossum. How are you?
Ah, hello to
Opossum
you
says, hello, Mr. Black. I'm doing fine. How are you? And now they're talking to each other in the super chats. Doing well, still dog sitting, watching Kyle in 4K. Is the dog watching Kyle too? Is the dog just sitting there licking the screen occasionally like, look, it's a furry, just like me?
Wow. There's a place in hell for you, Birch. I'm sending you there.
I bet it is happening. Lord Opossum then says, good to hear, Black. Say hi to the puppies for me. Maleficus Shai Khan, damn, Kibbs, just stop with the likes and now you.
Oh, it's Mal. His opinions don't matter.
You do use like way too often.
I do. But the thing is, my points are still valid.
It's like, there was, okay, so I don't remember, there was a professor in Chinese at like Harvard or something, like a big name school, and he was teaching Chinky Winky Winky, and he was like, okay, so this is how the Chinese speak, and just like when we don't know what to say next, we introduce pointless sounds just to inform our participating partner that we're still thinking about it. In the case of Kyle, that's like, and then like, I like. It's a noise with no particular meaning other than to inform the opposition that you're still speaking. The Chinese have this too. The only problem is it's na, ga. And if you say that quickly, you see how he got in trouble.
Hmm.
It's a fucked up world.
Absolutely.
What can I say? Anywho, Lord of the Possum says, New Vegas stream when? Oh, God. When I get streaming internet, maybe I'll sit down and play New Vegas. That'll be sad, because it is a derpy game in so many ways.
Yeah, it's a real kick in the head.
Fun story, but built on top of terrible engine.
Oh, yes.
Curse you, Bethesda.
ShadowFox2300. Yes, Obsidian goes screwed by EA with both KOTOR 2 and New Vegas. Obsidian, seriously, they haven't made a good game since New Vegas. They haven't. See, now I'm doing it too because I've entered into Valley Girl mode as well. But Pathfinder, Paths of Eternal, whatchamacallit, Path of something, Path of Eternity,
Path of Exile, you muppet.
No, not Path of Exile, you munchkin.
Path of
That's not
Eternity.
Obsidian. There you go. Yeah, that was that. No, Pillars of Eternity.
Ah!
Pillars of Eternity 1 was all right, but it wasn't great, and it fell off quick. Like, it did that awful trick that way too many RPGs do, when the tutorial area is like, you can solve this puzzle in 5 different ways. Never happens again through the entire fucking game.
I played like both Pillars of Eternity. Don't get me wrong, I'm sort of fond with like the world building and stuff, but I tell you, it was not optimized in the second game. Like, the water physics would eat up your CPU for breakfast.
That and the many strong female characters. It was also one of the.
Yeah.
It was also the first indication that Obsidian was one of those video game developers that every female character had to look awful in one way, shape, or form or another, whilst all the males are traditionally attractive. So that's just weird. Why do you do this?
The women slowly start to look more like men, and the men slowly start to look like androgynous humans. Like, oh my god.
Sandoom, modded New Vegas stream. Maybe super chat control? Maybe I could do some of the options super chat controls. I'll play command modern operations when I finally get streaming internet. And I was like, okay, what should I do now? It's like, just send all of your aircraft with dumb bombs in. I'm like, okay. It'll end the scenario quick, but hey, it's a benefit too. Sandoom, spent a college semester creating a fantasy world, and now I'm illustrating it for my portfolio. Good.
Nice.
You are a draw girl. The artists are better than app programmers. You can treat them with a bit more leniency, occasionally. Mark James says, I don't trust one okay episode out of multiple series of trash Trek bad reboot has given us. I mean, so far it's one good one out of one blatantly political and one incredibly mediocre character fellatio episode, so...
Yep, where they're building up Uhura to be something else. Because if you watch the original series, what does Uhura say? Comms open, Captain. Comms closed, Captain. Comms open, Captain. Or something like that.
She did it whilst attractive. Which is enough character for me.
I mean, you're wrong, but okay.
No, original Uhura?
No, she's not. She's fugly.
No, the original Uhura.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Hideous.
No.
Yeah.
No, she's not.
You're into ugly women. Your standards are low.
What's wrong with you?
I am into beautiful women. You are into hideous, obese monstrosities. Get out.
Obese?
He's like, what the fuck are you into? Anorexic women? It's like, you don't know me. You don't know anything.
I'm just into a good personality, but that's very hard to come by nowadays.
Get out.
Yeah.
Get out.
The original Uhura. God damn it, Carl's tastes are fucking weird.
Alright, not enough memeing. What the fuck does she look like? Because all I can think of is the new one, and I hate her. Mediocre.
Mediocre.
Definitely better than the TV show, and definitely better than the fucking recent movie adaptation where she's got that permanent bitch resting face.
Oof.
You know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Chastise him most forcibly. Jake Rants says, save nothing. Once corrupted, it can't be saved. Let it burn. Also, retreat to more literature. Dream that they might get good TV shows one day. Last Kingdom being starting point and Sharp the optimal goal. Lost Fleet is pretty good sci-fi. TV shows, yeah, but will the TV shows be good though? Last thing. Like, I'm sure a lot of people who played Halo was like, man, this will be an amazing TV show. It'll have so much action and shit. Nah, it'll have Pablo Schreiber telling you about his feelings.
That's true. Barch does think AOC is attractive. Chat, we do.
Oh damn. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
could
pretty
see
bad. What? You think she's attractive?
I mean, in a putting me on the spot now. Like
Oh.
she's at least like a 7 out of 10.
Oh,
Hey, she's not ugly.
Until
she's
she
insane, but she's not ugly.
I
Yeah,
give
like,
her.
Her teeth
I give
might
her.
need a
Listen,
little bit of a working.
I'll be
over, but
honest and give her a fair review. 2 out of 10. Unbearable to look at. When she smiles, I feel like I'm looking at a horse.
The smile's a bit much, but she can
Yeah.
be trained out of that.
I don't think she knows how to smile. I think like she's been coached by someone else. Because
Kinda like-
yeah, that's good enough, sweetie.
A few years of Victorian princess training where it's just like, bring a fan whenever you need to laugh. It's fine.
Oh
Or
my
like,
God.
balance books on her head.
No, it's mostly her mouth that's the problem in this case.
True.
I'm telling you, chat. Only Kibbs can be trusted. Shut up, Crazy Templar.
I've never seen Kibbs be disavowed so thoroughly so quickly.
Haven't done it yet. Oh,
And Glowy says, it's weird. Kibbs is more the ruthless business type, and Arch is the starry-eyed dreamer. Arch was always trying to promote others, and Kibbs was sitting in the corner, smoking cynically, saying, listen here, Arch, my boy, they're all double-crossers.
that's in
Yeah,
regards to.
Kyle's tiny little sad, shriveled-up heart is a tragic thing to
That's
behold.
in regards to YouTube, because
Yeah,
I've been around
he's-
YouTube longer than Barch has, and I've been small and irrelevant forever, and I probably will die that way. I know, right? Tiny, irrelevant Kibbs. And I've seen what the big boys do and the big boys say, because I've been in the groups with them. And I know how much backstabbery and ego and drama is on YouTube. If you get in the wrong crowd, it's hell. That's why I left YouTube to begin with. Because I didn't like it. Who wants to be around that all the time, where everyone's snitching on everyone, everyone's talking behind each other's back, and it's not even like, oh, he's feeling like, oh, Arch is not feeling well, maybe we should be nice to him, guys, like that kind. No, it's the, oh yeah, so how can we fuck over Arch? It's like, oh,
Yo,
It's
don't
not
get me
fun.
started. Don't get me started on the SFM community. Like, we are talking like full on like scorched earth. It's terrible.
and Barch is like, I'm gonna trust everyone. I'm gonna trust people. And Kibbs has always been there for him, always trying to help him. And he trusts people, and then after all I've done for him, he trusts randos over me. Oh, that little shit. And then they backstab him, and I'm like, I told you. And look who's still here for you. Me. Look who's still here, Barch. Me. Now, give me my just duly reward. Give me the Barch cheeks.
No.
You will be clapped, boy. Excited. Wiggles. Anticipation.
Glowy says, Kibbs rolls 15 on game design. Not bad. Rolls 10 on profit. He actually makes money. Rolls 1 on game development. It takes another 20 years to make. Yes.
Oof.
And when it comes out, Last of Us Part 2.
My God, if it comes out of The Last of Us, I'll be like, what did you guys put in there? What did you guys...
Like Kibbs, you should like after many years release the game, but you've literally just modded Last of Us 2 to just have your face on all the characters.
Kibbs would do that.
What? Why would I do that? I hate that game.
Well, it'd be a
Maleficus,
great
which I
prank,
can't.
bro.
Says, you are right, Arch does stack up. Know it all well. I do. I do most things well. Todd, here's some funds for Barch's invasion of California to become the king of Cali. I can become the Fresh Prince. I wouldn't mind necessarily. Doman, least GFL2 released new cinematic and game detail. Carl, get GFL.
Yeah, what? What's the
GFL
question? GFL?
GFL2. Oh, Girls Frontline 2. Wait, are they? Oh, they were making that, didn't they? Huh. Okay, I'll keep an eye on that. It's on Huff.
It's weeby. Weeb trash.
Yeah, that's what I want.
It's like, what the fuck? Can we make
I desire for it to be weeb. The more weeb, the better. In fact, my main concern with Arc Knight 1 was that it wasn't quite weeby enough.
I don't like anime games.
Yet you're making one.
But I'm using the Eastern art style with Western
Phone.
storytelling. Different.
You can order your dolls to move and attack. I hope I can order them to do more than that.
Oh shit, nibba.
Oh, it's XCOM. I won't necessarily mind that, dependent on whether or not they do that mobile game thing, where they add in really ridiculously hard things and make you auto-do it all the time. It's like, yeah, I don't want to do this. I do not wish to do this. I've decided that I have no desire to do this, in fact. We shall see, we shall see. Could be cool. And lastly, Janozixix sends 10 Polish sausages with no message, I think. No, there it is. Nut smacking society is a polite society. There you go. Yeah, my chat window does not show everything anymore. Goddamn YouTube, every update's slightly worse than the last.
Look, it's chat inside of a chat. Well.
But yes, I do believe that corporal punishment along with monarchy is the future. It's just where we're going to have to go.
Bart's
it'll be
become a neo-feudalist.
That's the thing too. It's far more humane. All right, I have made this argument in Starship Troopers, and I will make it again. If you give me the option between either getting punished in our modern day society for, careless manslaughter, which was what Johnny Rico did when he was like, "Hey, take off your helmet in the live firing range," which is like 5 to 10 years in prison or 50 lashes. Give me the piece of cardboard. I'll bite down on it. Like, fuck yeah. No, not a question. Not a goddamn question. It'll hurt. It'll give you serious discomfort for a month, probably. It'll probably have you in the hospital for a week, maybe more. But that's a hell of a lot less than 5 years.
Based.
Emotional trauma. Those whippings.
Emotional trauma.
I'll take that emotional trauma over the anal reaming you'll get when you go to prison.
Yeah, it's like an emotional trauma over this too. Like, okay, emotional trauma
Arch.
for me is getting locked up for 5 years.
You haven't had. See, this is how we know you're rich, boy. You don't know what pain is. You don't understand what
emotional
pain is.
Trauma. Like it's a Jeopardy question. Like, tell me you're a pussy without telling me you're a pussy.
What pain have you experienced? How many bones have you broken?
2.
Which ones?
One in my arm, one in my leg.
Pussy.
I once messed up my finger knuckles during a rugby match.
Fucking rugby. Get out. British people don't have rights.
Well, we have rights. We have the Magna Carta.
The correct response for getting that person killed is death. Arch, you know it. I know it.
No, because it doesn't teach any lessons.
It does. It teaches everyone else not to fuck up.
No, that's the thing. Like, we've got the stats on this. Like, death penalty does not seem to be a discouraging factor. Now, I agree that in certain extreme circumstances, it is morally justifiable, but it doesn't seem to have much of a discouraging effect. Primarily because no criminal thinks he'll get caught.
Keep forgetting Barch is an SJ Barch you. Look at him.
A what?
Okay. This is dab on Barch at every opportunity we can get.
We need to return to good old-fashioned monarchism and the more traditional forms of punishment, like the pillory, for example. I'm quite a fan of the pillory myself.
You're a pillar.
Anywho, on that lovely note, oh no, Glowy, Kibbs, why Bosh? Why? You keep getting through other YouTubers. Am I not good enough for you? That's a good point, Glowy. He is a little bit jealous. It's fine, Carl.
There, Glowy.
Don't worry, little Kib. You are somebody's replacement too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now, until next time, thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you guys all again soon. And we will hopefully have RP this week as well, as I don't think anything has happened. Kyle, any retarded American holidays you've got?
I can make one up if you want. He's like, no.
No.
America's really good at making up holidays.
It's true. We just make up like holidays for Mexico that Mexicans don't even celebrate. Funny.
Yeah, so we could get extra days off work.
What do you mean we, Brit boy? Brit
okay,
boy?
All right.
Get back on your side of the pond. Back on your side of the
okay.
pond.
right before we end this, Kyle, you just need to put this up on screen for a moment because
What is this? Where is it?
it's pretty great.
Hold on, opening Discord on my other computer because I fixed it. Oh my god, fucking shut the fuck up article. Shut the fuck up article. Halo TV series is the gold standard for video game adaptations.
Did they just say that? For real?
It's Games Radar. It doesn't matter.
Nope.
Their opinion doesn't mean
Okay.
anything.
At least that's my topic for Monday's videos. And I'm working on another bigger thing comparing NATO to Russia, which is in many ways a stupid comparison because it's like having Fuzzy, a noldring chihuahua in a corner, pissing itself in fright, as the titanic man-mauling bear that is Disco in Honor Period reaves over it, just looking down angrily and hungrily at the same time. Like, it is incomparable.
I mean,
It
Fuzzy
is incomparable.
in our totem pole. Fuzzy's on the bottom. He's below the dirt.
That's true. He is below
Ah.
subterranean.
Somewhere down there, there's Fuzzy crawling around. Little bug.
Like the dragon from Norse mythology that lives at the root of the world tree.
Except it's fuzzy and not powerful. Or
Yeah,
influential.
true. True.
Believe fuzzy.
Cat is already responding positively to this article. Fantastic.
From calamity to mild inconvenience.
Anywho, right. With that, Halo TV series being the gold standards for video game adaptations, good night. Thank you all for your donations and your generosity and your happiness and your speaking noises. We will see you again soon.
Good night, everyone.